Right. Good evening, everyone. This is the September 8th edition of Hope Sessions. Tonight we have a very special night. So they're all special. They're all good in their own ways. But this one, with the new season, I really felt led to share how to build a personal budget. So with the inflation trends, costs going up, interest rates pretty well worldwide, definitely in North America, rising rapidly, which is causing mortgage to go up. It's really putting pressure on. So I think there's even more need than ever before. And just as a little tidbit, the Ramsey Solutions, so Dave Ramsey, which I did my accreditation through, they did a survey in late 2017, 2018 of 10,000 millionaires. And in that response, 93%, so an overwhelming majority, said that they create a budget and they stick to that budget. Doesn't mean you'll hit every line item right. We're not perfect. Nobody can, but they had things in place to ensure that they hit their budget. So I guarantee you, if you go through this process, you will do it and you will succeed. And for everyone who's here, I know it's a great warm night where I am in Southern Ontario. So I give you a lot of kudos for coming here. Just by coming here shows you're putting your finances and taking them the priority. So please, by all means, feel free to ask questions, and I'd be happy to answer any of them. And I think for now we will get going. So if you want to know a little bit about me, just one moment. Okay, just oh. Warm up a little the computer. So this is my family here on the left. I have worked mostly in the consumer goods. Married 2016 to my wife. I became a dad in 2021. Was able to take a 9-month paternity leave to be with him, just because of some things I had taken to put my finances in order, and kind of use that time to build this business. I just felt led. I kind of have gone in 2012. I started moving in a faith. Really felt led and stepped in faith to start this business and help people with their finances. Some of the steps I took earlier in my career and when I was younger have enabled me to be in a place where I can support the family and take some risk. So I really appreciate that step. So I'm now a financial coach, and I want to share that with others so that they're able to feel that freedom. So my tagline is transform lives and achieve dreams. So I believe everybody has a right to achieve their dreams and live the life they want. The ability to do that is based on the amount of work they want to put in, but I am there to help them create a plan and show them a way that it can be done. So as I mentioned, I've done a few certifications as a coach, but most of my career has been in the consumer goods government, and I serve as treasurer of a local charity in our area, which we focus on food poverty. So jumping to the next slide. So this is now where we're going to get into the meat of the night, and everybody who's here, you probably saw. So it's kind of broken down into 2 parts. So part 1, we're going to build, and I'm going to show you the steps to building the budget tonight. And then on September 22nd, so again, Hope Sessions run the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month. So on September 22nd, we're going to go through optimizing your budget, really making sure that you link it and get the most out of it. But for right now, this is kind of the 101. On the 22nd is the 201. So this is really just how do you get a budget and where do I start? Okay. So before we even look at any number, look at anything, this is step 1. And this may sound a bit in your face or a bit edgy. I want it to, because you need to get real, okay? With money. So just think to yourself right now, if you finish your budget and let's say you set it, even by tomorrow or in a week, you set it, and then After a month, you come in and you're 80% accurate. How do you feel? You're like, yeah, okay, 80%, that's an A. That's pretty good. 90%? 90% would be an A plus in my books. That sounds pretty good. 95? Oh yeah, like we're getting there. I'm just gonna share this example for you. If you have a household income of $100,000 and you're 90% accurate, that means over the year, you're 10K. That's $10,000 difference, right? So I don't mean to scare you. I mean this to be demotivating, but the fact is with money, you have to get into the weeds, you have to get into the details, and you got to be willing to face the reality of what's happening and change your behavior. So, and unfortunately, a 10K difference when it comes to money, right? If you think about through the course of a day, you're probably facing 30 different opportunities to pay for things, expenses. Most of us only have 2 to 3 sources of income in a month. So unfortunately, it tends to lean more to the negative. It's not going to be that you're having a 10K surplus. If you don't watch it and look at the detail, you're going to lean more towards a 10K to the negative. And what that means is you're 10K further away from your dreams. So I'm trying to tell you, you got to get really focused, really dig in. That being said, you're not going to get it right. You're not, but you want to be real. You don't want to take the easy stuff, budget the easy stuff like rent and some of your utilities, and then kind of gloss over some of the other stuff. If it's your habit, you want to know, right? And we'll talk about how you can do that shortly. And so, as I say, until we identify our hangups, so maybe I have a hang up because I like to eat out at restaurants. I'm busy and I go out each week, right? If I keep doing that, me putting a lower budget number doesn't change that's I'm going to spend $300, $400 in a month on restaurants. So I have to face it, right? And another thing that's underlying, so there's facing the facts in the reality, but there's also stories we tell ourselves, right? So we have to look at the facts without bias and our own stories. So I'm sharing this quote here. I looked it up. It's written in the context of women, but I'm sure she would be sharing it with everyone, men and women. She says, Kelly Rowland is the author, and she says, we all come to the point where it's time to get yourself straight. As a businesswoman, a mother, whatever you are in life. It's tough love, but it's also being real with yourself. It's important to take those rose-colored glasses off and see what's going on. So that's about money, but also what's beneath it. Because a lot of the time, what's happening with your money is actually a mask for something else. There's a reason that money is coming out. So I encourage you, think about it, and we can chat and have some dialogue after if you'd like as well. What are you telling yourself about your money, right? So a bank or a creditor, they'll love to tell you debt is a part of life. That's just a reality. In some ways, yes, but at the same time, I can tell you I'm debt free, and it doesn't have to be. And when you don't have somebody saying that to you. Another story is I have to work a 9 to 5 or a regular job to provide for your family. That's a hurdle I had to overcome to chase my dream of running a coaching business. It doesn't matter how I earn the money. It doesn't mean I have to climb a corporate ladder. I just need to earn the money, right? And then there's lots of different stories, and they could be subtle. So getting real is just deciding that you will face them. It may take you some time to dig in and understand what's causing it, right? But I strongly encourage you to do that. Maybe you're telling yourself, oh, I can never be successful. I can never have an early retirement. Well, let's take a look. Maybe you can. It may mean some sacrifice, but think about what you have to sacrifice to do that, and then you can decide if it's worth it. So gone at this point enough, but I really, really stress this. Think about it and get ready and commit in advance that you're going to get real with your numbers and you're going to get real with yourself, because then it becomes a true exercise in seeing and getting a picture of your life. because the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself, even if you unknowingly do it. And then in a month or two, when you don't hit your budget, demotivated. And it's going to take some time. Like I say, it's an iterative process, but you decide in advance, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be real, and I'm going to get it set. Okay. So that's step one. Step two is where you start to look at, so you've decided, I'm going to build a budget. I'm ready to go. Let's go. I want to get control of my finances. I want to design my future and make sure I can transform my life, achieve my dream. So where do I start to build a budget? There's three kind of key pieces in the budget. There's income, saving, and expenses. I encourage people to start with your expenses, and we'll cover that later. But where you can start with what you've spent, right? The history that how you've been living your life is as good an indication as any. And always, you're being real. So you record all those expenses, add them up over the last 3 to 6 months, and then average them, right? And so the templates that I shared with you as your gift for showing up on a beautiful September evening, those templates provide a lot of detail, and you can really use them to classify all your expenses. And you want to look, so first, the things you're spending each month, right? So food, shelter, whether that's rent or your mortgage payment, utilities, transportation, so your car, gasoline, things like that. If there are one-off items where, like, maybe your car breaks down, still record them, classify them, but we'll talk about how to handle them next. So add up the total for the 3 months and divide it by 3. What this does is, let's say I go to the grocery store and I buy $250 worth of groceries. And then in October, I only have to go to the grocery store once because I go every 2 weeks or so, right? My October could look low, but the reality is my September, I had likely 3, right? If I went the 30th, the 16th, and the 2nd. So by adding them up and averaging them, it gives me a better indication of over time what's the real month, right? Because we want the reality. Okay, so if that's clear, so I would encourage you, I'm encouraging you all to use the templates, and if you come back on the 22nd with a draft budget, we can talk about it and look at some ideas for optimizing. And also, I'm always available for a chat, a 50-minute consult as well, which I have some contact in. Okay, so we've got our historical expenses. Now we have to start looking at one-time and irregular expenses. So some of the areas that I've listed here, property taxes, they're typically paid quarterly. Sometimes they may even be paid annually. It depends on where you are. I would caution you, if a bank is saying you can put it into your mortgage payment. I share this with you because it happened to me. This was a lesson I learned. So I first bought my home, I was mid-20s. I was like, okay, sure, put it in, you take care of it. What happened, I found, as soon as they had to pay an amount to the municipality, and there wasn't enough balance in the account, they sent me a letter demanding $2,000 on the spot. And when I looked later, I found they were actually so then they would keep charging me each of the monthly amounts after demanding that one-time payment. So yes, I won for the first 6 months, but then for the rest of the 4.5 years of my mortgage term, they were sitting on $2,000 of my money that I couldn't touch. So just make sure you get the facts and the details, because banks are inherently based on using your money to earn them money. So just make sure you have the details. But just for the example of the step 3 for budgeting, just add up. So those are some examples, but again, go through your history, look at items. We were chatting just before as everyone was joining the call about Christmas, right? So you definitely have to be thinking about Christmas. If we start Christmas spending November 1st, that gives you 2 months if you're going to save in advance. Home repairs, we don't know when they're going to happen. Repairs, as well, as I mentioned, you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know it's going to happen. So try to come up with a rough amount for the year. And once you've come up with all these ideas, determine a monthly amount and then put it in a separate fund, not your savings, not your main savings account where you pay all your bills, but a separate fund. So for me, it's worked nicely because with my son, we get a child bonus, and that amount nicely works out to essentially the amount that I need for the one-time and irregular expenses. So I have paychecks and my regular income goes into my operating account, but we have another account joint with my wife, of course, and it goes in, and then when some of these bills come over, I can transfer the money from there to my main account to pay them. So there's different ways you can do it. It takes a bit of work, but again, it's being real. These expenses exist and they can be significant. So you got to plan them in advance, because if you don't and they come due, either you're going to miss the payment and start getting charged interest, or you're going to have to look at borrowing money. So it's just not positive. The other approach that you can use is using an emergency fund. So this I'll probably have in a separate hope session, maybe in October or November. There's the baby steps that can be used. So an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses. And what it's meant to hedge you against is unexpected things. As we were also chatting before the call, there's a lot happening in the world. If you were to get laid off, unfortunately, you don't want to, but it could happen. Then if you have 3 to 6 months saved up, it gives you time. You have the full expenses saved in that account. So it's really an insurance. But what you can do is pay that extra amount into your emergency fund and then pay the property tax bill. So save it each month on your monthly amount, and then when the tax bill comes, you transfer it out. Okay, so take a look at these. Again, go back through your history, do some work. The templates I shared are great for things that you don't always think of. So I encourage you to look here. And then, so step 4 is setting your income. And when I say income, in all cases, in this case, it's after tax. So if you're working and you're getting paid, it's the net pay that you receive. It's not your gross pay, because the government has taken it and you're not going to get it back until the tax return, and you may not, right? Depending how your tax return shakes out. You may get some back, may not. It's always easy to use some extra money. It's not easy if you have to pay more money. And the reason I said set your expenses first and then do your income is because, again, being real, you want to know what you're spending. And there can be a tendency, if you know, I've set this much, this is my income level, and you know, oh boy, like I'm probably going to be overspent. You may start feeling like, oh, well, this expense was a one-off, or this expense, you may start to rationalize. So that's where I always say, get the facts on your expenses first, and then look at your income. Because at the end of the day, if your expenses are over your income, it's not okay, but it's something you need to fix. So you want to know about it, right? And you're not alone. There's a lot of people, as I shared on the Hope last time. If you missed it, it's on my YouTube channel. But we're definitely seeing an increase in debt worldwide. So again, face the facts and dig in. So when you're setting your income, if you have regular income, so I said wages, baby bonus, other supports, if there's government rebates, or like if you're elderly, old age pension, those things, checks that are coming, that's very easy to set. Irregular, So this is if you're commission based, so based on the sales, an entrepreneur. What I say here is use the 80% rule. So again, it's far easier if you have a good month to put some extra cash somewhere. It's not so easy if you have a bad month to suddenly find the money. That's where your emergency fund would come in, but you're better to set your income and set your budget on a number 80% of the time I'm going to hit it, right? So it put pressure on your budget, but it's the prudent thing to do. And then in the template, you'll see there's a separate tab called wish list. So just as a little sneak peek, what you can do is when you have a good month where your income comes in over your budgeted amount, you can take that extra amount and use it in your wish list. So your wish list are things that don't fit into your budget. You just can't balance your budget. Because at the end of the day, you're going to match your income to your expense. And we'll go through that on the September 22nd. Well, your expense plus your savings. So we'll go through on the 22nd about how you can set your savings amounts. So finally, the third type of income is secondary income. So maybe you have a side hustle or, you have a hobby where you create some crafts and you sell them on Etsy. I encourage people to do that, right? Because if you find a way that you can monetize your passion, it's the same way as if you're working your dream job. You're never, at that point, you're never working because what you do is it's part of you and you enjoy it, right? So that can be a quick way to create some extra bucks. So I like those ideas and strongly encourage them, right? So like if you like sports, maybe be an umpire for a minor league baseball league. Usually that's, say it's 2 games, that might be $75 a week. That adds up, right? It adds up. I think it's about 5 grand over the year if you do it through the year. So, it's worthwhile because you can do hockey in the winter if you like, or another sport. So, yeah, I strongly encourage you think about those ideas. Okay, so that's kind of the first part of actually setting your budget. So just to let's quickly go back and recap the steps for you. So I'd encourage you again, take the templates that you've been provided, take it away and try to build your budget because then it'll make the 22nd far more beneficial and informative. So start with getting real with yourself. Decide, I'm going to look at all the facts and I'm going to look at what stories I'm telling myself and why they might be getting created. Then look at all your historical expenses, 3 to 6 months, go back through your Visa or credit card statements, your bank accounts, see what money has been leaving your accounts, classify them into all the different segments as you can. So dining in, dining out, right? If you're eating out at restaurants, it's costing you a bit more than if you eat in. So you want to be aware of that. And then when you've done that, you can also look at the one-time and irregular expenses, try to come up with a monthly amount. So again, in the templates, you would build a monthly number. So I need to save $500 a month for these one-time items, something like that. And then set your income. And at that point, I would say you've got your budget. I'm not saying it's done, but you've got your base picture of what's happening. And then next time we'll go through what to do because your income could be over your expenses. Yay. Your expenses could be over your income. If they come right on, good, but we haven't put any savings in for retirement or your dreams, whatever they may be. So we'll talk about that next time. Okay, so I know you're all here tonight, so you know how to register and log in, but if anyone's watching the recording, there's the URL and I'll put it in the comment section on YouTube as well. And those are the contacts or how to reach me. For everyone who's on the call, if you go to my website, you can click, there's a blue and white button in the top right-hand corner. It says financial freedom session. If you click that, you'll book a 50-minute consult for me. So if you've developed your budget and want to talk it over before the next call, by all means. And that's my YouTube link and Facebook. So I put a tip of the week up each week on YouTube, and through September, they're going to be tips on building your budget. So could help you as you move along. And I'm always there. So thanks to everyone for coming. I'm going to stop the recording now so we can take any Q&A. And I would encourage anyone watching this recording, if you have some questions and you feel like, they've been burning or you want to get control, just reach out, give me a call, and I'd be happy to help you. So appreciate y'all and have a good night, and we'll chat on the 22nd, unless I hear from you before. Take care.